The following program is paid for and presented by John DeMasi. The opinions expressed are not those of Town Square Media or station advertisers.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now, the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Welcome to the government shutdown hour. If you listen long enough, you may find out that you too are affected. Good morning and welcome to another edition of Talk with a Purpose every Saturday 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Good to have you with us as always for our Saturday morning get together, and we are here and ready to roll. I'll tell you, we have nothing to talk about. I guess we'll sit here and play cards for 3 hours. We were planning on having a series of caller debates. Somehow, I tried to make that happen this week, and we couldn't get it together. So it's you and me against the world for the next 3 hours. It's you and me talking about whatever we're going to talk about. So we welcome you to stay tuned for all of the festivities right here on the program. Two quick things. First, there will be a debate on November 30th on the Sean Hannity Show featuring Gavin Newsom and Ron DeSantis. Now, this is probably a prelude to 2028 because, of course, it's after the election, after this year's election, and it looks like it's going to be Biden and Trump again. So, and also, the Senate has instituted a dress code. Are you ready for this?
Greg, how are you?
Thankfully, John Fetterman won't wear shorts on the Senate floor. Too bad, because he was about to release a line of new clothing, and he called it Contemporary Slob. You want to check online for that? I can see people checking. Contemporary Slob? Where is that on the internet? Okay. It's a joke, okay? But we are spared of John Fetterman and his shorts on the Senate floor. I thought you'd find that very interesting. But what I really wanted to talk about today, this thing about violence that I talked about last week, and you know, it's just really disgusting. The violence in America, and in particular American cities. Don't know if you saw this or not, but there was mass looting in Philadelphia this past week. I think it was Tuesday and Wednesday. The looters hit the Apple Store. They hit some Walgreens. They hit some CVS's. In fact, it continued on Wednesday night after it started on Tuesday night. Now, this is at the crux of this issue. Coincidentally, this followed a judge's order dismissing charges against a Philadelphia police officer who allegedly shot a suspect without cause. The suspect's name was Eddie Irizarry, and he died a short time after the incident. So let's get this straight. As I've said many times on this show, thou shalt not shoot a black man. Well, Irizarry was Hispanic. Either one, okay? Substitute either one. For any reason at any time. But it's okay to retaliate with looting and rioting. Sure. Some store owners have no other means of income. They make a living with their store, and now they're out of business, and the city is going to help them. There's some kind of a fund. Oh, yeah, well, right. That's going to help. But and this is where I'm going with this. And I know that you're going to say, John, this is out of character for you. But I don't care. I'm sick and tired of lawlessness in this country. And then some columnist wrote, oh, it was justified because that's how the people feel. No, it's not justified. No, it's not. The next thing you know, they're going to say, oh, well, he killed my brother. Now I'm going to kill him. You know, where does this end? If it were me and I was mayor of any city in this country or any official that has the authority to do what I'm going to suggest, I would authorize police or any law enforcement to shoot at the rioters. I'll bet you that would stop them. Remember what President Trump said? When the looting starts, the shooting starts. And I think that's right. Who are you to decide, oh, well, I'm right. And people, you know, they were showing video. They're carrying 2 TVs, these big TVs out at a time. Funny how they can carry that, but they can't hold a job. That's another story. But the liberals are saying the crowds weren't justified, but this was a cry for justice. Justice for what? If a judge rules, and it's a shame, Judge Donio was on a couple of weeks ago. It's a shame we don't have him on today. If a judge rules that there is not enough evidence, then that decision is final. There is not enough evidence. And the judge dismissed the case for lack of evidence. So, what should you do? You can protest. And of course, the family of Eddie Irizarry is going to sue the city, and you know that the city is going to settle it, and they'll probably get, you know, a couple $1 million, maybe several $1 million. Not that that brings him back, and not that that justifies the shooting, but again, there is not enough evidence. Plain and simple. And I believe when Judge Donio was on a couple weeks ago, he said that we were talking about a case, and he said there isn't enough evidence for that case. Well, we've heard this before. So, does this justify rioting, looting? This is 2020 all over again. Oh, George Floyd was killed, so we're going to riot. You know, this is, and we're going to talk about later on what President Trump has in mind for his second term if he gets it. And you know, how the liberals are saying, oh, God, that's terrible. How could he do that? But it's true. This was, way back when, a country of law and order. And what's wrong with law and order? That's what I don't understand. Oh, well, we're going to riot. That's a good excuse, isn't it? A judge ruled in favor of the police, so it's a good excuse to riot. I'm telling you, and some of these stores now, Target is going to close some stores. I think they're going to close like 14 or 20 stores. You know, sooner or later, all of them will probably close because they just can't take it. It's just not sustainable. And there was a gentleman who owned a mobile store, and he was robbed 3 times this week by the same guy. And the third time, he chased him with a baseball bat. Good for him. So back to what I said. When the looting starts, the shooting starts. And that, even if they don't fire a bullet, the fact that they're there and they're going to shoot, deters rioting. That's what I think. And with that, we bring in, I'm sure he'll have something to say about this, among other things, Seth Grossman, Liberty and Prosperity. Good morning, Seth, and welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning. And, of course, we have a lot of new stuff posted at libertyandprosperity.com. And if you like what you see, please hit the Facebook icon to share it with your friends. We have a Twitter icon for X. Click that icon. But even if you don't use Twitter, if you click the Twitter icon to any post you like at libertyandprosperity.com, it gives you the link, so you can copy the link and paste it on email on any other site you have. We also invite you to look for our weekly email, and I'd like to talk about that, what we mailed out. And, of course, we have our breakfast every Saturday morning from 9:30 to 10:30. Of course, I urge you, if you're going to our breakfast on a Saturday morning, make sure you're listening to the John DeMasi Show on 95.5 on your way to and from. And whatever you missed, of course, you could catch it on a Sunday afternoon. But I guess that to begin with, this narrative that somehow Biden is going to be the Democratic nominee for president next year, and that Trump is going to be the Republican nominee, I'm not so sure that's a fact. If you look at the latest polls, it's showing either Biden is beating Trump by 41% to 39%, or Trump is beating Biden by the same percentage. But what those polls tell you is that roughly 60% of Americans don't want either Trump or Biden. Isn't that what a poll like that means? And this narrative that it's just Trump versus Biden, it's all coming from basically Fox News. I don't know if you saw the debate on Wednesday night, sponsored by Fox News, and with the rules set by the Republican committee. But that was basically almost unwatchable. It was horrible. And who benefited from that? It was all promoting the Trump narrative that there's only one candidate, it's Trump, versus 5 or 6 nobodies, and that DeSantis is just another one of those nobodies, and also that everything was wonderful during the Trump years. You had. Did you watch any of that debate, by the way?
No, I went to bed early.
Well, you didn't miss much, and just a classic Fox News debate. So DeSantis was like, of all the candidates up there, he was like the front runner in the polls, but they didn't ask him a single question for the first half hour. So he's just standing there for the first half hour. And then in the post-debate comment, the Fox News is saying, well, DeSantis got off to a slow start with that debate. Well, of course, they didn't ask him a single question. And then the questions they did ask him, they had this lady with a Hispanic accent, from Univision, spouting every woke Democrat lie about Republicans, putting it in the form of question, and then throwing it to DeSantis. But as bad as it was, almost everyone who watched that debate, and basically a quarter of Republican primary voters did watch it. DeSantis clearly, was almost, not almost, but he was head and shoulders over the others. So in the debate, DeSantis made his point that he did stuff in Florida that everyone else is talking about. And just about that, you said you loot, we shoot. Well, that Trump said the same thing in 2020, didn't he?
Yes.
When you had the riots,
yes.
He said, you loot, we shoot. And then what did Trump do 2 weeks later? He invites, like, Ice Cube and a bunch of rappers to the White House, and he comes up with his platinum plan. So, there's a disconnect between what Trump was saying and what he was doing and what was DeSantis doing in Florida in 2020. You had one riot in Tampa where they looted that Walgreens, and next thing you know, the Soros prosecutor gets fired, police chiefs are getting fired, and you didn't have any more riots in Florida.
That's right.
So I have a feeling that this thing is not over by a long shot. And the other thing that I think was significant in the debate is that DeSantis pointed out that the inflation, the Biden inflation, started when Trump added $8 trillion to the debt. And, of course, that has been discussed all over the country. In fact, even Biden has made a commercial, so everybody's talking about that, but yet not one word about any of that on Fox News. So what has happened, I think, is that Fox News has become as obviously biased as CNN or MSNBC. And it's going to be very interesting whether anyone else, and I'm just giving you my personal view. So we're going to be talking about that at our breakfast meeting from 9:30 to 10:30 this morning at Sal's in Summers Point. Of course, if you're listening on a Saturday, if you're listening on a Sunday, of course, the meeting was yesterday. So that's at the national level, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of discussion. At the local level, I thought it was very interesting in our Liberty and Prosperity email that we put out. Our top story was the high cost of college books. Textbooks. The average student spends $1,300 on textbooks. And there was a very interesting article in the Ocean City Sentinel where a Stockton senior did a research paper showing that virtually everything in a college textbook that you have to pay $1,300 for, you can get for free online and in various other sources. And it's remarkable that a Stockton University student was able to write a research paper like that and to have it published, and that's really significant because the college textbooks that they force you to buy are almost 80% indoctrination and very little of the material that you're supposed to learn. So I think people with kids in college ought to pay attention to this to find out how to save that money. But what's also important, I think, is, we need to have students doing research on other things, research on wind turbines, research on the salaries of public employees, research on the truth about recycling, research on the salaries of their professors. So I just thought it a very interesting read, and we reposted it on our Liberty and Prosperity website and in our newsletter.
Talking about that, Seth, when my mother passed away and I sold her house, I went through, and she had saved everything from my college days, and I started looking at the books that I had to buy for college. And, I hardly opened those books. I hardly used them for anything. They just collected dust in the bookshelf.
Yeah.
and I threw them out.
And yet that's a profit center for your left-wing professors. So I thought it was very good that this student did that. Her name was, I forget. Her name was Jessie Nash, senior at Stockton University. So the same thing really goes to public libraries. Here we spend an enormous amount of money on public libraries, and every time someone suggests, well, we ought to cut the budget, because hardly anybody uses libraries for the purpose that we're paying money for libraries. I mean, I know a lot of people who use libraries to get video games, to get their latest movies, but how many people get books from the library? Because 90% of everything you would need for any serious research, you get it online. So we have to examine that. It's almost like we're just paying for another way to indoctrinate people with a left-wing agenda. And speaking of indoctrination, last week, I don't know if you noticed it, the Atlantic County Utilities Authority had an electric car celebration. And why was that? Why is the Atlantic County Utilities Authority promoting this left-wing green agenda? I mean, if you if you just use a car to go shopping and to go around town, an electric car is fine. If you want to go on any trips, more than 100 miles with an electric car, it's very inconvenient, very wasteful. You're not saving any energy because the electricity has to be produced somewhere. So why is the ACUA promoting electric cars, and why is the ACUA promoting the wind turbines when most of us are opposed to the wind turbines offshore? And we know that it's just a fraud, a waste, and all these other bad things. In fact, today's Saturday from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, Defend Brigantine Beach is having a fundraiser to tell the truth about wind turbines. At Sophia's, I think it's $100 a ticket to tell the truth about wind turbines. But every time you take the trash out in Atlantic County, you're paying extra on your property taxes to pay to the ACUA to have this fund where they're using money to tell lies about how wonderful wind turbines are. So it's a real disconnect. And as we pointed out, what is the Atlantic County Utilities Authority, the ACUA? It's another runaway government agency. It was set up in 1975 to build a county-wide sewage system. And anyone who grew up in Atlantic City knew that back until 1975, if you went swimming in the bay at low tide, you'd get this horrible red rash, which we locals called the doggies, because the sewage was just dumped into the back bay. So if you had to swim in the bay, you would swim at high tide. So in 1975, you set up this agency to build a sewage system, and they built 50 miles of pipe around the county and the sewage treatment plant, and they take the sewage and it goes out a mile and a half out in the ocean off Atlantic City. Wonderful. You could go swimming in the bay, clamming, fishing in the bay. Everything is wonderful. And then what happened? Well, about 30, 40 years ago, the ACUA went into the trash business, just like the Sopranos did. And now 2/3 of of what the ACUA spends money on is just in this trash business. And you have 11 employees, top employees, get total salaries of $2 million. The average salary for the top 11 employees of the Atlantic County Utilities Authority is $175,000 each for being in the trash business.
Whoa.
So did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
You see these ACUA trucks. So here's what they do. So again, nobody knows how much it costs to dump the trash because nobody gets a trash bill. It's hidden in your property tax bill. So there's no limit on how much money they spend. And what they do, they put private contractors out of business by using every dishonest technique to drive out their competition. About a year ago in Pleasantville, you had a private company, had a plan. They wanted to take construction debris, and they bought a railroad siding, and they were able to take the construction debris and remove it with less fuel, lower cost for all the building contractors. And what the ACUA did, they set up a fake, citizens organization to deny them all their permits. I mean, the dirty tricks. Even the press of Atlantic City said how bad it was. When you have the Atlantic County is bidding on trash contracts in Ocean City, in Woodbine, and Bridgeton, and Millville, and they're using Atlantic City taxpayers to undercut competition there. They're doing that. And, of course, there's the recycling racket. Did you ever wonder what happens to your plastic bottles, when you do your recycling and you rinse out the bottles and you put it in a separate blue container? Do you know where that stuff actually goes?
I have no idea.
Well, I'll tell you, 92% of it is shipped, goes in shipping containers, and it's sent to third world countries where they either burn it or dump it in the ocean. That's where it goes. It's so fake, and we have all the details posted on our libertyandprosperity.com website. So they make money doing that, and it's doing absolutely nothing for the planet. But a big chunk of the money, the ACUA is promoting this green agenda. They promote the electric cars. They're promoting the Biden Green New Deal. They're promoted the wind turbines. So the real question is, why are Republican officials in Atlantic County? Remember, the ACUA is an Atlantic County agency. It's run by Denny Levinson, a Republican county executive. 7 of the 9 commissioners who used to be freeholders decide who runs the ACUA. So why do we have a Republican-controlled government running this agency that is, collecting $2 million to give salaries to 11 people, $173,000 each, where a big chunk of their budget is indoctrinating our kids in school, having the fake, what do they call it, Earth Day every April, and indoctrinating kids to promote a Democrat agenda and to vote against Republicans who are trying to tell the truth. So why are Republicans sponsoring all this? So that's, on our libertyandprosperity.com website today.
Boy, you really got an agenda today. It should be an interesting meeting.
Yeah, it should be. So again, so we're from the national to the local, but this whole thing in Philadelphia, I guess the final comment is all this stuff. When you look at the riots that happened in Philadelphia, they say that what happens to America happens to Atlantic City first. It was almost play-by-play what happened to Atlantic City in May of 2020, when you had Steve Young had a rally for George Floyd on the boardwalk, and after he said, now we've done our peaceful demonstration, and he said, now let's walk a few blocks to Atlantic Avenue and do some window shopping. Remember he said that?
Yes.
And he leads about 30 or 40 people, and they broke the windows, and they looted, and the Atlantic City police tracked down with a video and arrested 95 people. And what happened to those 95 people? Never heard anything about any punishment, any consequences. So if you could do that stuff and get away with it and there are no consequences, why shouldn't you do it again? And why shouldn't you keep doing it? But again, don't do it in Florida.
Yeah.
So libertyandprosperity.com. Okay, thanks. Have a great weekend, and let's see what kind of reaction I get when I walk into the room at Sal's after what I said on the air today.
Okay, Seth. Thank you. Seth Grossman, Liberty and Prosperity. The meeting starts 9:30 today. Sal's Coal Fire Pizza, New Road in Summers Point, and, of course, the website, libertyandprosperity.com. I'm John DeMasi. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We have Al, Bob, and Craig in that order, maybe you, at 609-407-1450. We'll get started with the calls after these words.
Debt. If you hate debt as much as we do, listen. Debt. It's one of the biggest problems faced by 77% of Americans. A system called Debt-Free for Life is a smart, financially unique solution. Not only does Debt-Free for Life, a proprietary system that you can access absolutely free, help our clients pay off their debts years, sometimes decades earlier, it can also save them tens of thousands of dollars in interest, build their wealth at the same time, and it does it all tax-free. Find out more now. Go to jmlfinancialgroup.com to get your free report on Debt-Free for Life, or call Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group at 856-751-1771. Remember, access to Debt-Free for Life is absolutely free. Check it out now at jmlfinancialgroup.com.
All right, let's get started here on Talk with a Purpose. 609-407-1450, as always, is our number in the studio. Let's start with Al in Corbin City. Al, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Just a couple things. One thing is, you don't hear any complaints from the hotel owners in New York City about these illegal aliens, because when in their career do they have a year-round full capacity in their hotels, and they're getting top dollar?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And the other thing is, they say, excuse me, $20,000 per person, the illegal aliens that are in the country. We have 10 million?
Yeah.
Okay, approximately, just approximately.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think $20,000 per person is ridiculously cheap, because I think it's a lot more than that. Because I know in New York alone it's 40.
Yeah.
But take that times 10 million. See how much you got there. Well, if you took that and took that same money and gave it to each state, it would be $800 million. Each state would get. Not million, billion. I'm sorry. I keep getting the millions and billions because so many zeros. It just drives me crazy. $800 billion each state would get. Now, wouldn't that do a lot to help a lot of the problems in our country?
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, and especially like states that don't really need it. You know, I mean, like the states that they like the flyover states that take care of themselves pretty well without all the government funding. I mean, it's you know, we're doing in the United States what Rome did to its people. It drove them into poverty, and what they do is gave them their free shows at the Coliseum and gave them bread. And what they're doing here is making welfare and all these other programs so that people will get dependent on the government. And slowly but surely, when it runs out, we're all going to get screwed. Sorry
That's
to
right.
say it.
That's right.
Screwed.
That's right.
And, I mean, at what point can we continue to do this? I mean, I work every day of my life. I'm 70 years old. I'm still working.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah. Hey, you and I are in the same boat. I'm 73. I'm still working.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, you know, and it drives me nuts because sometimes, you know, I don't know who, I'm not a liberal, and I'm not I'm a conservative, okay? A constitutionalist conservative. And I don't care who I vote for. If the person's good. I mean, I voted for Jeff Van Drew because Jeff Van Drew,
yes,
before he became a Republican,
yes,
I voted for him because of his policies, and I know what he believed. But most of the people in the country don't even take the time to find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, I understand, is because they're working 2 jobs, trying to take care of their kids, and, you know, they're so busy doing that they're not on top of it.
That's right.
They're not on top of what's
That's right.
going on. And if you don't watch Fox or the other news channel, I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
CNN.
I know it. Not CNN. I'm talking about
Newsmax. Newsmax.
Newsmax. Thank you. I'm just a senior moment. But it's like you don't know what's going on because they don't tell you anything. Whatever they tell you, they spin the way they want it to be spun.
Right.
And which gives you a twisted view. Most people in the country agree with conservatives. Most people agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right. Common sense is lacking, and that's what I think the theme of your call is, that we just don't have common sense here. That's plain and simple.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, common sense would tell you all the information that's come out about Biden and his family and everything that's going on. You can't tell me the man wasn't up to his eyeballs in this.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. And they impeached Donald Trump over a phone call.
Yeah.
It's such hypocrisy.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody sees it.
Yep.
And I think that's why a lot of people are disgusted with government in general, is because like it seems like whatever we do, we can't get out of this hole that we're in. Well,
yeah.
I just pray for the country because the only thing we need God more than any time in our history, I think.
Well, that's for sure. Al, thanks for the call.
Day.
Thanks for the call. Yeah. When in doubt, pray. That's for sure. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We'll come up on a break here, and then we'll have Bob and Craig and maybe you at 609-407-1450. Coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment. It is a fall festival of savings. Yeah, it's fall. I mean, what happened to summer? It's gone. Tomorrow's October. Fall Festival of Savings at BF Mazzio, 601 New Road in Northfield. Of course, pumpkins galore and all kinds of things. Boy, they have those caramel apples. I tell you, I look forward to this time of year. I wish they were around all year round. But I bought a couple of them last week, and a couple of days, and they're gone. So, you know, it's just... It's timely. It's what the season brings and what they bring to you at BF Mazzio. 601 New Road in Northfield, online at bfmazzio.com. And you know the usual lineup. And if you don't, stop on by and see for yourself. Prepared foods, baked goods, fruit baskets, gift baskets, and catering like you wouldn't believe. It's all right there at BF Mazzio, 601 New Road in Northfield, and online at bfmazio.com, bfmazio.com, and you can still shop online, and you can still have it delivered. Hey, look, that didn't go away. And BF Mazzio is certainly not going away. One of the finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere in South Jersey. And trust me, I've done the test many times, and it is a fact. BF Mazzio comes in number one. And pretty soon we'll find out if they got best of the press. Probably will again this year. BF Mazzio, 601 New Road, Northfield, online at bfmazio.com, bfmazio.com. I'll see you there later on today after the show, and we can commiserate about whatever you want. BF Mazzio. We'll come back with more after these words.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently number one when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, lexusofatlanticcity.com. That's lexusofatlanticcity.com. Or if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at lexusofatlanticcity.com.
Your WPG Atlantic City Electric AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. A shower early on today, otherwise it's mostly cloudy. The high today 68. Clear to partly cloudy tonight with a low of 53. Tomorrow's a nice day. Lots of sunshine, pleasant. The high 79. Staying nice for us on Monday as we start the week. Sunny skies with the high in the middle 70s again. I'm AccuWeather forecaster Rose Tamburino on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose. If you want to email me during the week, jdadv1 at Comcast.net. jdadv1 at Comcast.net. And you can also like us on Facebook at Talk with a Purpose. At Talk with a Purpose is our Facebook address. And it is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Let's talk to Bob and Cape May. Bob, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. Hey, look, it was clear in a Republican debate, and it was a central theme of Ron DeSantis, okay, and that was talk versus real accomplishment. You know, these Republican candidates that were up there, they of course, they criticized the crime issue. All right, how horrible it is, how these Soros DAs are just letting these criminals run wild. But you know what, John? In Florida, that governor, our great governor, did something about it. Okay? So what you have in Florida here, first of all, we have true Second Amendment rights. So in Florida, if they loot, we shoot.
Yeah.
Okay? And more to the point here, we had a DA in Tampa, and there was a DA in another big Democrat city in Florida that a Soros DA wasn't enforcing the laws. He was letting the DA in Tampa let the rioters. There was a riot in Florida, and there was looting, and he didn't prosecute. You know what happened to him? He got fired.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay, and you know, and the point is here, you know, we do not have that going on, okay, because of what the governor did. Now, another point here, law enforcement received 1,000 because of the great economic success of Florida. Law enforcement got a $1,000 bonus last year. In fact, when blue cities like Austin, Texas, whose crime rate went way up, cut their police force by 34%, and the other defund the police cities in blue states, when they tell their cops that we don't want you, guess what? The governor of Florida said, come down here. The water's warm. You're welcome to come to our state and help protect our people. So, these are real accomplishments, and I can point to a host of other issues where it wasn't just talk, it was real conservative accomplishments. Now, I've got Craig's coming up after me. I have a question for Craig, and I'm going to call back in the second hour if I'm able to.
Okay.
All right, but I've got a question for Craig here, okay? So, why and when was the 2020 presidential election lost? Very simple question, Craig. Why and when? When, okay, and why? We can intermix those two. Was that presidential election lost? And let's see what Craig can come up with, and then I'll call back with the correct answer.
By the way, Bob, I heard that you had the pleasure of sitting next to Craig last night at Harry's dinner.
Well, I had a substitute, and he was just on the show. My knee was hurting way too much, John. My knee has gone south in the last 3 weeks, and I finally, after like 20 years, I need to get this knee replaced. I've been fighting it, and I'm just, So I absolutely would have been to the dinner. I think I've made every one except one, and that was last night. It would have been fun sitting next to Craig. He's a good guy. I respect Craig. I like Craig, and we have our fun on when we call here on Saturday mornings.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bob. You want to hang on? Chris can conference you and Craig, and you can ask him the question.
Well, okay, sure.
This should be fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay.
Hang on. Can you do it, Chris? Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. Craig, good morning. You're on Talk with a Purpose, and you're on with Bob.
Well, before we start, I just want to make sure that this doesn't cut into my time.
Well, wait a minute.
I got my stuff to say, and so I'll answer the question very briefly.
Yeah.
Bob, the election was lost when it was taken, from Donald J. Trump by the CIA, the FBI, Twitter, am I wrong? Facebook, CNN, ABC, NBC, Chris Wallace. Do we want me to continue?
Craig, you've got the partial answer, but
that's not
the real answer.
Come on, there.
Wait a minute, Craig.
That's all
wait a minute.
Wait a minute, Craig. Let him answer the question.
Yeah, he asked me a question, and then you want to answer the question for me, Craig. So we're going to have a discussion. I need to be able to answer your question. Okay. So the election was lost. When it was really lost was in the spring and summer of 2020, and the example I give is what happened in Texas. The Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, a real patriot, a real MAGA Republican. Okay, he instituted 12 lawsuits against the liberal cities in Texas that wanted to send out universal mail-in ballots. And he lost every one of those suits until he got to the appeals court and the Supreme Court. And he ultimately won. He was successful. But in May of 2020, Attorney General Paxton warned President Trump that these universal ballots, if he lost even one of these 12 lawsuits, Trump was going to lose Texas. He warned him about that. And he warned him that the same thing's going on in Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, and in Arizona. And you know what happened? Trump didn't do anything about it. He and his team were so confident that they were going to win. And I do believe that the election was stolen, Craig. I believe that absolutely. But the time to fight that, to be successful, would have been in the spring and summer of 2020 before those stinking lousy mail-in ballots would have went out.
And I get a rebuttal to that. And then I'm going to go on to my time, John. That would be the National Republican Party's, chairperson's job to make sure, that we're protected. Wouldn't you agree with that, Bob?
No. No, absolutely not. It was
that's why we spent
President.
all that money.
No. I mean, you had Ronna McDaniel. I mean, she's still the national chairperson. When President Trump could have backed Harmeet Dillon, who was a populist MAGA Republican. I don't know what the hell he was doing, backing Ronna McDaniel again. Big mistake. I mean, look, I want us to win, Craig. I don't want this same crap to happen again with universal mail-in ballots where the Democrats could cheat and turn the election. I'd love to be able to send you Tucker's interview with Attorney General Paxton. I love, and Paxton is not the Bushes and the Republican establishment tried to impeach Paxton all summer. He just won that battle. Okay, so the Paxton is a Trump ally, right? So this is not coming. This is not the party line from the establishment country club Republicans. It's anything but that.
Yeah. Bob, we thank you for your contribution.
Okay. Take care, guys.
We appreciate it. Craig, now you have your own time.
Okay, thank you. And Bob, I'll still go with what I said, that was the chairperson's job. Earlier I just wanted to say that if you noticed the debate, okay, there was 4,300,000 less viewers. So when you talk about DeSantis, there's no ceremony there, right? And actually they say that Nikki Haley came out pretty good on that. John, we did discuss a while back Michelle Obama being the candidate.
Yes, we did.
The Democratic Party.
Yes, we did.
Am I right?
Yes, you did. You did.
And Dianne Feinstein did pass away. Am I correct?
Yes, yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
And breaking news for those people aren't you might not have heard this yet, but Gavin Newsom said that he is going to replace temporarily Diane missed. What was that China doll? Remember China doll that by David Bowie?
Yes.
I call Diane that because she had that limousine driver that was a spy from China.
Yeah.
You forgot about that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, but anyway, she's being replaced temporarily by Newsom by a black woman. Now, would you happen to know a black woman that we discussed on this radio program right here?
Yeah.
That I said was going to be running, and she would make her announcement.
Yes.
And I said she would be talking at the Democratic convention and probably make her announcement as the lead runner.
Yes.
And who did I say that was going to be?
I believe you said Michelle Obama.
There we go. Let's see if that happens. Last night, your radio station, had a wonderful Harry Hurley event with Brian Kilmeade there, and I got to bump into Vince Palestina, and I just want to say what a great guy he is. We're privileged to have somebody like that represent us. Trump's real estate thing. Did you notice that he got convicted of he's got to get rid of all that stuff?
Yeah.
And did you see that down in Mar-a-Lago? They said, "Oh no, that's not worth $18 million."
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see the guys right next door to him's got a quarter acre, and Trump's got 20 acres, and the quarter acre's worth $40 million. But Trump's Mar-a-Lago can't be worth $18 million. He exaggerated the value of that.
How does that make sense?
That's what I'm thinking here. And for those people, sometimes, what the media does is they play games and they're actually talking to people sometimes that don't own property. But people that own property right now in this community, that are listening, they know that if they look at their assessment, right now on your real estate paper, I guarantee you won't sell your house for your assessment, because what your assessment is and what you could get for your property in this area
two
right
different
now
things.
is probably double.
Yeah, two
right?
different things. Yes.
All right, I'm going to leave you with this. the FDA guy, okay, he did he's in charge of the vaccines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The assistant. Did you hear that he refuses to take the vaccine?
No, I didn't hear that.
I swear.
But that doesn't surprise me. I mean, nothing surprises me.
I can't make that up. In the meantime, the illegals that are coming across the border, they threw out a 95-year-old vet in New York so that they could give the housing to those people instead.
Yeah.
And then I want to ask you this, John, because, I don't know. I know that as you get older, you sometimes like to hoard things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know where I'm going with this?
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I think Mr. Mendez has been hoarding some gold and some cash in his suit pockets.
No, he said it's from his heritage because he's from Cuba and his parents, they lost some money to Cuba, so he developed the habit of hoarding money in his home. So that's why he had so much.
Well, I got to tell you, John, he does believe in that rule of, putting certain amount of money aside for later on. But $480,000 of cash in your suit pockets, man.
I checked my suits the other day. I didn't have anything in them.
Could you imagine if you're the cleaner and he forgets to pull it?
Yeah.
I'll leave you with that. Oh,
all right.
Hold on. Wait a second. I just want to say this. Harry and I got a bet that Joe Biden won't be, the nominee. Okay? And I just want to make sure that you don't try to take me out to dinner with your loss because you haven't made that debt. You haven't paid up yet.
Yeah, well, I know.
You don't try to conflict that on the same day because when I eat, I want to make sure I get my money's worth.
That's right. You will. Okay. Don't worry. You will. Thanks for the call. Talk with the Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We are coming up on our final break of the hour. Boy, the hour number one flying by. Kathy in Pleasantville will take you after the break, and maybe we'll talk to you as well. 609-407-1450. Back with more Talk with the Purpose in hour number one after these words.
Debt. If you hate debt as much as we do, listen. Debt. It's one of the biggest problems faced by 77% of Americans. A system called Debt Free for Life is a smart, financially unique solution. Not only does Debt Free for Life, a proprietary system that you can access absolutely free, help our clients pay off their debts years, sometimes decades earlier, it can also save them tens of thousands of dollars in interest, build their wealth at the same time, and it does it all tax-free. Find out more now. Go to jmlfinancialgroup.com to get your free report on Debt Free for Life, or call Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group at 856-751-1771. Remember, access to Debt Free for Life is absolutely free. Check it out now at jmlfinancialgroup.com.
And we are back here on Talk with a Purpose. 609-407-1450 is our number here in the studio. Kathy in Pleasantville. Kathy, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning. Good morning, John. I wanted to respond to a comment that Seth had made about President Trump inviting a rapper to his Mar-a-Lago.
Yes.
I heard it from his mouth on a conservative talk show. They asked him that question. They asked Trump about that. And he said, guess what? He said, he called me, this rapper, and I think it was Puff Daddy. He called me and asked me if he could come to lunch. So he said, sure. Trump told him, sure, you don't turn somebody down like that. And he comes along with his entourage, which Trump did not expect.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember
that comment?
Yeah.
And I believe him. And also, I wanted to make a comment about this dialogue about Trump putting businesses in bankruptcy. Well, I happen to know a friend. I have a friend in Summers Point who worked for him in Atlantic City as a worked the books, the financial department.
Yes.
She said you would be surprised at how many business people would stuff the bills when Trump would agree on a certain amount of work and how much it would cost. They would stuff the bills. It's the same thing that happens to us. We go to the garage, we get an estimate, and it's $200 more when we pay the bill.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of stuff that's happened to him over and over again. And just want to clarify that.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. I remember that when, yeah, maybe it was Puff Daddy or Ice Cube, whatever, one of those. And he came with his entourage. He said, I didn't expect that. But it happened. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We're going to start hour number 2 with Linda and maybe you at 609-407-1450. Good time to jump in here because we got some open lines. Speaking of the debate the other night, Chris Christie, he had the line of the night. I mean, I think if he doesn't, well, he's not going to get the nomination, but I think he's got a future in comedy writing. Really. I mean, I had a friend of mine years ago, he would send Johnny Carson jokes, and he would get $100 for one joke. So maybe Christie could make a living doing that. But he said to Donald Trump, you're not here because you're afraid of defending your record. You're ducking these things. We're going to call you Donald Duck. And then there were memes on the internet, Donald Duck and Chris Christie. That was funny, you know. He can come up with something of substance. Doesn't have anything to do with politics, but it's something. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG, Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 on the way. Don't go away.
.5 FM and 1450 AM WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now, the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 2, Talk with a Purpose, every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Also heard on 1450 AM, and you can always stream us online at WPGTalkRadio.com. Many ways to listen and many ways to enjoy the show. Good to have you with us here this morning on Talk with a Purpose, and I'll get to Linda in a moment. We should be used to this by now, but the anti-Trump rhetoric, well, it's going to heat up now, and then maybe it'll take a little dip. Maybe it won't for the holidays, but then, of course, next year, all bets are off because we're going to hear it. A column this week in which the headline reads, Trump second-term agenda even more terrifying. Now, I'm going to tell you what's in this article. This is terrifying. Can you imagine? Here is what the article specifically states. Trump plans to use the military to participate in the largest deportation of undocumented immigrants in American history. What's wrong with that? That should have been done a long time ago. But, of course, Biden lets them all in, and now we got this problem, and we got illegals, and you heard Al say about 20,000 and people getting kicked out because they got to let these illegals in. So what's wrong with that? That should be done. Another thing. You ready for this? Order the National Guard into cities with high crime rates, whether local officials want it or not. What's wrong with that? And what did I just say in the opening comments? If the National Guard was there, do you think those people would have gone in and looted the other day? Of course not. So what's wrong with that? Restoring law and order. I mean, this must be some liberal egghead spouting off this stuff. I'll give you one more. But this is specific to California. Prosecute Californians who protect minors coming to the state for gender-affirming care. Now, that's another thing. You want to be transgender? There's no, I don't have a problem with that as long as you're 18. But when you start talking about this stuff to kids, I have a problem with it. So the three things that this columnist mentioned are all good things, and they should be instituted. And that's what we're going to get with Trump in the White House. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Let's talk to Linda in Absecon. Linda, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Great show.
Thank you.
Have you caught the price of oil?
No, but I heard it was going up.
You have Brent crude, that's $92 a barrel. You have Murban crude, $94. You have West Texas, I think it's intermediate. That's, I'm rounding up, $91. So now I heard they were talking yesterday on the news, they're looking at maybe $150.
Whoa.
And Bob Progner, I heard him talking with Harry one day. This is when Trump first came into office. I'm repeating myself, but it bears repeating. And he was talking about Exxon, and he was just making so darn much sense. And John and I are at the age and stage where pretty much, yes, we do have some stocks, but mostly you move over into CDs. And so anyway, I come downstairs. I said, you know what Progner just said? So we were talking about this. He said, yeah, no, it's underpriced. I think we went in at $36. And so we went for it.
Yeah.
And so when my last look at it was $118. So, yeah, Bob. But we sold it before that. Wished we had it back. Wished we had kept it. But you can't complain when you make a profit.
That's right.
We did very well with Exxon. So thanks, Bob.
Good.
Yeah, and I love Bob. I love Craig, and it's good radio because they're gentlemen and they make a lot of sense. And I wish we were going to dinner with you guys. But it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, we may do something. I'm working on something. I mean, I can't let Harry get all the accolades here. I gotta once in a while I gotta come up with something. So we're working on something.
Your show rules. You get accolades.
Okay.
You're
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
But regarding Trump, of course, and Bob obviously knows. I mean, to have two impeachments and to be under the indictments that he lived through while he was president and all that he lived through, that was so grossly horrible while he was president, even criminal. It was high crimes and misdemeanors while he was president, but not against the conservatives, not against the Republican. The underhandedness and the horrific things that were done to this president were high crimes and misdemeanors, and maybe we'll see the day in court, and maybe we'll see also a new Nuremberg too for what they did with the vaccines. But Trump won the election at the polls. Biden won absentee ballots. So and DeSantis did something brilliant. DeSantis is a rock star. He's a bag of chips and all that for how he has run and taken care of Florida. Now, DeSantis has been around a while, so it's easy to beat up on him, but they can't beat up on his successes. They can insult him, and you got a bunch of new people up there that haven't done anything close to what DeSantis has done. He did one of the most important things that this nation needs, and we don't have. And which is why we may not win, but God. He secured an election. The security, the election results that came in for Florida and how it was handled, that young man should be president just because he knows how to secure an election.
Well, he will be someday. He will be someday. He will.
Yeah, I believe so. But running a state is darn important, but it's not the same as running a nation.
Yeah, that's true.
And Trump ran this nation under such horrible circumstances. And
yes,
that's why I love him, and I'll be honored to vote for him again. But DeSantis is great.
Yeah. I think 28 is DeSantis time. I don't think it's now. I thought maybe in the beginning, but it's Trump now. That's it. But that's what I think. Linda, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate it. Talk with the Purpose of the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Let's talk to John in Ocean City. John, good morning. Welcome to Talk with the Purpose.
Yes, good morning. If you're trying to set up debates and you did it via email, my computer's down, so I wouldn't have even known. But I'm game. I just want to say this to the blue, those that lean blue. It's a lot easier for you in the age of shadow banning, deplatforming, and et cetera, to get your information than it is for us. Shadow banning, photoshopping, and deplatforming. That's what's going on. So whether people want to hear it or not. But this is regarding, I have to bring it up. It's the Georgia election of 2020. Supposedly, Biden got 11,779 more votes than did President Trump. However, if you go by their statistics in simple math, it's not complicated, just by simple math. Okay, and the population in Georgia was 10,700,000. I understand everybody doesn't vote. That makes up the population. I understand that. Red is those that vote in the rural or suburban areas vote red. That's 8,487,000, and those that vote blue are in the urban and metropolitan areas. That's 2,213,000. If you go by people over 18, 66% of people are over 18 in Georgia. That means 5,601,420 people make up the red, and 1,460,580 people make up the blue. Now let's go with how many people voted percentage-wise. 61% of that. Of the red voted, that's 3,416,866. 61% of the blue voted, that's 890,954. So if you subtract that, you have 2,525,912 people that vote red that came out and voted red. Now, that's statistics, and that tells you that there's a smoking gun right there, as far as I'm concerned. But that's how I feel about it. Now, Alex Halderman, professor of computer science and engineering at the University of Michigan, says he knows for a fact that American voting machines are very vulnerable, more vulnerable than people think. And also, China engages in cyber warfare. It's the 21st century, kids. We got to wake up and smell the coffee brewing. We ain't in horse and buggy days any longer. That's for sure. We have to get a new pair. My rose-colored glasses were smashed to pieces, so I don't see things the same way as other people do. People can put whatever kind of label they want to on me. I couldn't care less. Cyber espionage, which is practiced by the Chinese, involves spying, where sensitive and classified information and data is accessed. Also, Leonardo satellite systems, also called LEO satellites. I believe you can think whatever you want to, but we're in the 21st century again. 21st century LEO. It's called LEO satellite. It's satellite systems, and they're sophisticated. They're used for communications, reconnaissance, and spying, and they can also hack too. So if you take all these, you can't take it off the table. Cyber warfare used by China, you can't take it off the table because it's real. It's the real deal, Holyfield. Okay, Leonardo satellite systems under the auspices or under the control or being used by globalists. You can't take it off the table because it's real. And also that our voting machines are highly vulnerable to hacking. And yes, whether people want to hear it or not, Dominion software is easily hackable. So all these things are true. And there was ballot boxes stuffed with illegal votes, and it's provable. It's not tinfoil nonsense theory here. And also the ballots of servicemen and servicewomen were found in dumpsters and landfills. So anybody that thinks that it's real easy to get information nowadays, the Wild West of the internet is over. It's hard for us to get information because it's being hidden from us as per usual, because we are the mushroom people. They feed us beep, and they keep us in the dark. Thanks for letting me go in.
John, hold on a second. John, he left? Okay. Do me a favor. If he calls again, get his cell number, because I tried to email him during the week, and as he said, he doesn't get emails. So we were trying to set up a debate and with John and Frank was agreeable to it, but I never got in touch with John. Tried to email him, and computer problems. So what else is new? Let's talk to Sarah. Sarah, good morning. You're on Talk with a Purpose.
Hello, good morning. I hope all is well.
Yes, and I hope all is well with you, too.
Could be better, could be worse. Couple things. Number one, I was reading something about the gas tax that's supposed to impact New Jersey October 1st. And Christie is like a disease that just left so much poison towards the state.
Yes.
Number two, going towards the rampant crime wave that America's seen, where people just go into stores with bags and shopping carts and just walk out and are just free. And I don't understand it, how they can just get away with it. Storekeepers, they don't fight back, because if they fight back, they could be shot, they could be hurt, and then they could be fired if they're an employee, because the employees are told not to fight back. So criminals are free.
Yeah,
I don't get that.
I don't either. I really don't either. I'm baffled as much as you are. You know, I mean, I was told when I was a kid, you don't steal. You don't even steal a candy bar. And now today, proving once again, Sarah, the liberals have taken over society. I mean,
how would any of these people, like if you went to their home, took their phone or took something that belongs to them, but they're freely able to walk around, go steal, carjack, be let out the next day, the police arrest, person A one day, next day they see person A out on the street again.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
No, it really doesn't. And, I'm all for this, getting the National Guard involved and all of this stuff that Trump wants to do in his second term. I'm all for it, because, I mean, if Biden gets in again, it's going to be another free-for-all. That's really it.
But the media has disfigured the police. The media has made the police enemies.
That's true.
There were some high-profile cases, but not all police officers are like that.
Right.
Even when students are 6 years old, 7 years old, they're calling them pigs and so forth. There's a video out there, where they're showing the children, we don't have to listen to you. And there's no respect for law enforcement. There's no respect for teachers or even parents.
Yeah.
And as a society, we cannot let this continue. Even with voting, early voting. What is wrong with people that they cannot get up and go and vote? They can line up for concert tickets or see football games, but they cannot vote. Seriously?
That's a good analogy. I mean, if there was a Taylor Swift concert, they would line up for 3 days before the concert to get tickets, but they can't line up to vote. I don't understand it. It's just. As
a Diane Feinstein, I hate to say this, but ding dong, the witch is dead, because she did nothing, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, yes.
It's part of the problem that California has, that California needs to be its own country. Just cut it off and push it out to the Pacific, because California is a wasteland.
Yeah, it is.
And those who believe in the policies, something's wrong with them.
Well, we may get Gavin Newsom as president. Sarah, thanks for the call. Can you imagine Gavin Newsom as president? Oh, you thought Joe Biden was bad. Jeez. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We have Dan and we have Bob, and maybe we'll have you. 609-407-1450 is our number here in the studio. 609-407-1450. Do want to remind you that next week, Atlantic County Executive Denny Levinson on the show. And we were attempting, speaking of debates, we were attempting to get a debate going with his opponent. So far, we are unsuccessful, and probably we will be unsuccessful. We'll try all week, but no go. But Danny will be on next week here on the show, so we look forward to that. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment. But first, I want to tell you, now that I've settled in and I've got my car back after 6 weeks of driving Brand X, I've got my car back, and I'm right now at the point of, well, I got to decide whether I'm going to get a new car, keep this car. The lease is up in 2 months, and I would like a new one, but we'll see. We'll see what the numbers are. But whether I keep the old one or whether I get a new one or what, I will have an outstanding vehicle, because Lexus is one of the finest automobiles on the market today. Courtesy of Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And of course, they have all kinds of vehicles for all kinds of driving needs, whether it is the SUV or the sedan or the sports car or even the smaller vehicles. It's all right there, and you can test drive it for yourself. You can test drive one, you can test drive two, but see for yourself what I'm talking about. And I had a caller a couple weeks ago say, hey, you were right about Lexus. I switched over. Hey, how many converts have I had? Like the Catholic Church, I want to get converts. But she said it's true what you said about the Lexus. It is a smooth ride, is an easy ride, an enjoyable ride. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT, and online at aclexus.com, aclexus.com. Check out the website. You'll see a lot of the automobiles that I'm talking about right there on the website. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road, EHT. Stop by, say hi to Helen. She'll take care of you, and you'll see it is one of the finest automobiles on the market today. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
I'm Seth Grossman for LibertyandProsperity.com. Americans are the most understanding, generous, and compassionate people in the world. That is why our enemies are using those virtues as weapons to destroy us. They are deliberately bringing millions of poor and angry people from failed socialist countries around the world to make America a failed socialist country. They know that walls, fences, and even thousands of Border Patrol agents can't stop everybody determined to get through. The only way to stop them is to arrest every person found in our country illegally and send them back. But our enemies think that Americans are too understanding, generous, and compassionate to ever do that. Do most Americans care more about the suffering of people coming to our country illegally than the future of our own children and grandchildren? Learn more at libertyandprosperity.com. Help us reach more people. Join our weekly breakfast. Donate what you can to keep us on the air and online. libertyandprosperity.com. Thanks.
You can listen to any of our shows, any Talk with a Purpose show, anytime. All you have to do is Google John DeMasi Podcasts, and all of the shows come up. What a concept. It's the on-demand of radio. Google John DeMasi Podcasts, and I think we're up to about 190 some shows right now. Yeah, 191? 192? 93? Do I hear 200? Very soon. You just Google that, John DeMasi Podcast, and all of them come up. You can listen anytime you want. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Dan in Linwood. Dan, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. How would you like to bring this? Let's say you brought it to Longport. 58 bedrooms, 33 bathrooms, 5 tennis courts, a pool, a 20,000 square foot ballroom, and oceanfront property on 17 acres. Let's say you put it in Longport and you put it up for $18 million. What would the line look like of buyers on that?
Oh, that would be a long one. It would probably be from Longport to Atlantic City.
It would. And the idea that Palm Beach's land is much more expensive than Longport, but I just want the folks to just envision that kind of property in Longport, what it would be really worth.
Yeah.
If you showed up with a check right now and you told Donald Trump, here's $120 million for Mar-a-Lago, he'd laugh at you.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, 58 bedrooms. You can convert that into a luxury hotel in Mar-a-Lago, but you can't because of the zoning. But the idea that you're going to say that's worth $18 million, that's just funny.
Yeah, that really is funny. You know, what they call creative accounting.
Yeah, I mean, you basically get a suit over that. It's just like what happened with the real estate in New York. He valued one property at $400 million, and they said no, it's only worth $200 million. First of all, the place is over close to $1 billion what it's worth in New York. You can't touch it.
Yeah,
and I think that enough of the voters have seen enough. They know this is a persecution, and they're looking at the other guy who never comes out of the basement, and when he does, he falls or makes a fool out of himself.
Yeah.
And I think what you guys were talking about is correct. They're gonna dump him pretty close to the convention, and maybe bring in Michelle or Newsom, and that's going to be the way it's going to work.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. But, Dan, appraisals and property values have always been, I mean, it's very vague. I had a property that the realtors told me was worth so much. And I said, what? That doesn't make any sense. And here came to pass that it didn't make any sense, but they inflate these numbers sometimes, or they deflate numbers depending on the circumstances. And it's a very, very vague science, if you will, So I don't trust appraisals for any further than I can throw them, so that's my take on it.
Did you happen to watch the debate, John?
No, I didn't, and
it was you didn't miss a thing.
I know.
Fox and Univision did a horrible job, and it was basically a bunch of outlier candidates talking over each other, and Fox lost total control. And they brought in Univision, and all they talked about was all the woke stuff and all the left wing stuff.
Yeah,
and then Fox and Dana Perino and the Stuart Varney they couldn't control these guys, Christie and Vivek and everybody talking over each other. And the one guy who needed at the time was the guy from North Dakota, even though he's not going to win. He's the guy you have to make the energy secretary because he knows more about energy than currently our people who are running it, because we have no energy. Our policy with energy is we're going to convert everything up to electricity, yet we don't have the grid for it. And we're going to tell the auto industry, you take these big raises now, but in secret, in two or 3 years to 5 or to 10 years, the auto industry will be basically gutted with 1/3 of the employees making electric cars.
That's right.
Foreign parts.
That's right. Dan, thanks for the call. Boy. Doug Burgum, I think he was referring to. And that would be a good choice for energy secretary. I mean, do we have an energy policy? I don't think so. Bob in Cape May is back. Bob, good morning. Welcome back.
Hey, picking up on Dan's point there, if Mar-a-Lago is only worth $18 million, I'll buy 2 dozen right away.
Yes, that's right.
But so just a couple things here on the, I think it was Al who called first about the hotel people in New York City cleaning up on all these illegals. Well, I can tell you, John, I've been in the hotel business it's my 45th year, and that is absolutely the last thing any sane hotel owner would do. To get a short-term gain, I don't care how much the hell they're paying. I mean, it would have to be totally insane, totally insane, because they trash your rooms. Your rooms are not rentable once they're done with them.
Sure,
when they're there for
sure.
a couple months.
Sure.
That's the last thing you want to happen. So I don't know what the motivation is for these hotels. Are they being compelled to rent to these illegals? I can tell you, if it happened to me, I'd shut the hell down.
Yeah.
There's no way I would let them destroy what I have sweated and worked for almost 50 years.
Well, yeah, because you'd have to factor in, after they leave, you'd have to shut down for months for repairs. Right?
At least months, John. I mean, you don't just write a check and snap your fingers and your rooms come back online. That doesn't happen. So, that's just insane. So, one thing I forgot to mention about, the debate, and you talked about crime earlier, and Governor DeSantis, again, he did a great job in the debate, but one thing he mentioned was the crime, the Soros DAs. And he promised that if he's elected, and President Trump should absolutely do this. I mean, the Soros DAs that are making life untenable, like you had that guest that wrote the book, Untenable, in these big cities.
Yes.
Okay, these DAs are violating the civil rights of the law-abiding citizens of our country, particularly the big cities where these people, they can't shop anymore because stores are getting closed down. They can't walk the streets because they're getting raped and mugged. DeSantis promised to sue all these Soros DAs. And, that is a way of combating these creeps, to go after them legally. And I think there's an absolute case to be made there, because they are not enforcing the laws. We have laws in this country.
That's right.
And they're not enforcing them.
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah. And the family of that person who was killed by the police in Philadelphia, they're suing the city. Well, I think the city should turn around and sue the DA. I mean,
Look, Krasner's one of the worst.
He is. He is. Definitely.
He is. I mean, I was my wife's uncle. We were at a wedding last week. Okay, and her uncle Mike, he's in his early 80s now. He was a great lawyer in Philly, and in fact, he was Mayor Rizzo's deputy mayor. All right. And the big Bambino has got to be turning in his grave with what's going on in Philadelphia now.
Yes.
Can you imagine what Mayor Rizzo would be doing with Krasner? He would be snapping that little creep in two. I think he would be taking his billy club and absolutely pummeling that creep Krasner.
Yeah, he would. Well, he would have fired him first. I mean, that's goes without saying. He would have fired him before he even got to this. He would have got rid of him, and he would have called him. Remember? Oh, he's a creep. He's a crumb bun. That was his famous. It was what's a crumb bun anyway?
The liberals called Frank Rizzo a bully and all these names, but you know what? He was actually a really smart guy. Uncle Mike told me last week, right? He said, you know who changed the color of the police cars in Philadelphia from red to blue?
Rizzo.
Frank Rizzo.
Rizzo, yes, right? I remember that.
Because red is an incendiary color. Believe it or not, it is.
Yeah, it is.
And blue is calmness. It's peace. And but anyway, all right, I'm out of steam.
Okay. Thanks for the call. Yes, fond memories of Frank Rizzo. I remember it well. And it's funny because the first time Rizzo ran for mayor, that was my first election. I turned 21. And my father came home and he said, who'd you vote for? And I did not vote for Rizzo because at 21, I was a liberal college student. And I said, I voted for the other guy. How can you vote? Where families vote together. That was the last time I told my father who I voted for, believe me. Oh, fond memories. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We'll talk to John in Ocean City. Maybe we'll talk to you. Got a couple open lines. Rare moment in the show, 609-407-1450. 609-407-1450. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
It's a fall festival at BF Mazzio. All kinds of goodies, including delicious and fresh McIntosh apples, apple cider bread, pumpkin bread, and of course, all sizes of pumpkins. BF Mazzio, where there's always something special. Don't forget the finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere. And of course, a complete selection of prepared foods and baked goods second to none. BF Mazzio, 601 New Road in Northfield. Online at bfmazzio.com.
Debt. If you hate debt as much as we do, listen. Debt. It's one of the biggest problems faced by 77% of Americans. A system called Debt Free for Life is a smart, financially unique solution. Not only does Debt Free for Life, a proprietary system that you can access absolutely free, help our clients pay off their debts years, sometimes decades earlier, it can also save them tens of thousands of dollars in interest, build their wealth at the same time, and it does it all tax-free. Find out more now. Go to jmlfinancialgroup.com to get your free report on Debt Free for Life, or call Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group at 856-751-1771. Remember, access to Debt Free for Life is absolutely free. Check it out now at jmlfinancialgroup.com.
Your WPG Atlantic City Electric AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. This afternoon is going to be mostly cloudy with a high 68. Clear to partly cloudy tonight. You might want to grab a jacket. Lows dip into 53. Warmer tomorrow with plenty of sunshine. A nice end to the weekend with a high 79. Monday, sunny and pleasant. High 79. I'm AccuWeather's Ruth O'Brien on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
I'll give out my email again because people say I don't give it out often enough, so I'll give it out again. JDADV1 at Comcast.net. JDADV1 at Comcast.net. And of course, if you want to like us on Facebook, at Talk with a Purpose, at Talk with a Purpose is our Facebook address. It is Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Before we get to your callers, President Biden has a warning for us. He warns against the MAGA movement. There's something dangerous happening in America right now, he said. We should all remember, democracies don't have to die at the end of a rifle. They can die when people are silent, when they fail to stand up or condemn threats to democracy. Of course, as Biden once said, Trumpism is a menace to democratic institutions. Huh? Meantime, Biden's approval rating is at an all-time low. So what's that tell you? He is a menace to democracy. Boy, is he full of it or what? John in Ocean City. John, good morning. Welcome back.
Yeah, and the sleepy, creepy child sniffer is a threat to our constitutional republic.
Yes, that's right.
We're even. As far as Bob had brought up the word incendiary, not as far as inflaming or being but it means arson. And I just brought to my memory Mazzini, who was the second director of the Order of the Illuminati after Adam Weishaupt. And you have to understand the word mafia, what it really is. Mafia is an Arabic word meaning refuge. When the Arab Muslims had taken over Sicily as a foothold into Europe, they said, your elders are no longer your mafia. We're your mafia. We're your refuge, and you'll pay the jizya to us. So they're a Roman Catholic Sicily, so they're not going to convert, so they pay the tax. But that's where mafia comes from. But under Mazzini, it means Mazzini authorizza incendi furti incendi avvenimenti. Mazzini authorizes theft, arson, and assassinations via stabbings, shootings, and hangings. So these are dirty dogs here. And if the people that say the Illuminati is it no longer exists, you need to go do your homework a little bit better, just a wee better. Yes, Elector Theodore had outlawed the Order of the Illuminati in Bavaria, where it started. But John Robeson, professor of natural sciences, advanced mathematics and physics at Edinburgh University, Edinburgh, Scotland, had said all the Illuminati did was rode the storm out in the Grand Orient Lodges of Freemasonry. And no, Freemasons are not, it's not a Freemasonic conspiracy. No, it's not an Italian mafia conspiracy. Adam Weishaupt was born Jewish, but he worshipped Lucifer. That's why he picked Beltane. Beltane is a high day for Luciferians. It's May 1st. But you can dismiss it all as a bunch of tinfoil nonsense. Go ahead, knock yourself out. I couldn't care less at this point. But I want to bring up Bobby Kennedy Jr. I dig his act, man. I do. I think he's whack job as far as wanting to legalize hallucinogenic drugs. I think that's whack, completely whack. But a lot of his ideas are sound as far as going toe-to-toe with China, not letting them walk all over us. And he's not bought and sold in the marketplace the way Biden is. Let's just get real. Biden is a puppet for China, whether people want to hear it or not. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. And a lot of people agree with me, too, even if they don't put the tinfoil hat on like I do. Oh, well, what are you going to do? And by the by, they don't use tinfoil any longer. It's aluminum. So I'm aluminum foil wrapped then, okay? No problem. But Eric Clapton raised $2 million for Bobby Kennedy's campaign. Now people are saying he'll be a good third candidate because he'll take the Democrat vote. No, the Democrats vote with their blinders on. They vote Democrat. Whoever they're told to vote for, they'll vote for.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'm more afraid of Gavin Newsom than I am of Biden.
Yeah.
I think Gavin Newsom's 10 times worse.
Yes.
Because he's smooth, he's good looking, he's smart, and if he takes Gretchen Whitmer as his VP, we're in some deep doo-doo, I think.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yep. Yeah, now, as far as Bobby Kennedy Jr. voting, becoming third-party independent, I think that'll take away from President Trump, I believe, because a lot of people are disgruntled with President Trump. They've done a successful smear campaign against him, unfortunately. But as far as I'm concerned, I'll vote for either of the two, Donald J. Trump or Governor DeSantis. I'll take either one for president at this point. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, John. Yeah, Gavin Newsom he is to be feared. I can't believe he was practically impeached in California, and now he's going to run for president. And he'll get votes simply because he's good looking. That's how people vote. Let's welcome Dave in Wildwood for the first time. Dave, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Thanks, guys. Good hearing you. Great show.
Thank you.
Listen, I wanted to give a quick comment. I believe it was Bob that said Frank Rizzo changed the colors of the police cars to make them less incendiary.
Yes.
I was a young boy in Philadelphia at the time Mr. Rizzo changed the colors of the cars. But I have to say, it's not because they were less incendiary. At that time, his brother was the fire commissioner.
Yes, I remember.
He really changed the colors so that he could tell the difference between the fire trucks.
Yeah, okay.
That's all I got for you guys.
Okay.
Great
Thank you. Okay. You can't tell the police cars from the fire trucks. Okay. We'll buy that. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. We are wide open with the phone lines. 609-407-1450 is our number here in the studio. 609-407-1450. Speaking of California, here is their solution to the gun problem. They know what they're doing. Sure. California will double the taxes on guns and ammunition and use the money to pay for more security at public schools and various violence prevention programs under a new law. Governor Gavin Newsom signed Tuesday. The federal government already taxes guns at 11%. This law would add another 11% on top of that, making it the only state with its own tax on guns and ammunition, according to the gun control advocacy group Brady. Of course, this will be challenged. The California Rifle and Pistol Association has promised to challenge California's new tax in court. California, huh? Where I don't want to be. Oh, can't make this stuff up. They just, we'll tackle the gun problem, adding a tax. Sure, that's going to solve it. Dee in Atlantic City. Dee, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Morning, John. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks.
John was right about hacking. January 5th, before the thing in January 6th, the insurrection, quote-unquote, protest.
Yes.
Somebody was on a guy by the name of Pulitzer, was on the floor of the House talking to everybody. He had a little device, electronic device in his hand. And he informed everybody while he was talking to them that he had hacked into the voting machines in Georgia where they were hacked, where they were voting. That was on the news.
Wow.
I know. You didn't hear that, did you?
No, I didn't.
No. You know why? Because 6 was the next day. Well, I totally wiped everything off. Like Biden, Menendez is taking Biden off the air. You notice that, too?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, really. I think it's all a plan.
Yeah, well, Menendez ought to resign. Menendez really should resign. I mean,
but he's innocent, so proven guilty, John. I know.
I know that. But, I mean, this is the second time? Come on.
Yeah.
But
check that out. Check that on Pulitzer hacking into them machines. The Pulitzer family.
I will.
But it happened. He hacked into the voting machines while they were voting, and you could have heard a pin drop in the house. No one said the darn thing. Then this thing happened the next day. All right, you have a good weekend.
You too. Thanks for the call. The more we do this show, the more we find out that we don't know it. We don't know a lot of things, and I think I'm pretty informed. Wow. What can I tell you? Well, I want to talk about Atlantic City. This is really a. I really don't know how to explain this. Who is Jerry Volpe, and why is he important to Atlantic City? Volpe is the purchasing consultant, and I believe we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. He's the purchasing consultant at the Atlantic City Housing Authority. There was a meeting of the board, and it was scheduled for this past Thursday. WPG. If you remember, we talked about this on a previous show. Volpe's company, Governance and Fiscal Affairs LLC, was paid more than $400,000 for a year's work. His work was criticized by Housing Authority Executive Director Matt Doherty at last month's board meeting. Doherty has since been fired. On the agenda this week was a resolution for a change order to increase the amount Volpe is to be paid this year to $460,000. In other words, as in many political circles, he's being paid more to not do a good job or even a bad job. By the way, the Housing Authority is being sued by residents for poor living conditions. You can't make this stuff up. In other news, the authority will consider a new contract for John Clark's Sunbelt authorities. Now, the average person has never heard of Volpe or Clark, but I wanted to bring this up. An analysis of Clark's hours as a management consultant reveals that he is not giving Atlantic City what his contract called for. he did not fulfill his requirements in 31 of the 38 weeks on record. In other words, he's getting paid for not doing the job. So we've got Volpe getting more money for not doing the job. We've got Clark for not putting in the hours in 31 out of 38 weeks, and he's getting a contract renewal. What is wrong with this picture? I want to know. And of course, you call the housing authority. No comment. No comment. And no comment. Boy. And of course, the residents are suing, and they should. I mean, there is so many problems in some of these houses in Atlantic City, and they're not being fixed. And they're paying these guys exorbitant amounts of money. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. Hour number 2 rapidly coming to a close. We will have some final thoughts, and we'll talk to May, and maybe we'll talk to you at 609-407-1450. We're coming back with more Talk with a Purpose after these words.
Debt. If you hate debt as much as we do, listen. Debt. It's one of the biggest problems faced by 77% of Americans. A system called Debt Free for Life is a smart, financially unique solution. Not only does Debt Free for Life, a proprietary system that you can access absolutely free, help our clients pay off their debts years, sometimes decades earlier, it can also save them tens of thousands of dollars in interest, build their wealth at the same time, and it does it all tax-free. Find out more now. Go to jmlfinancialgroup.com to get your free report on Debt Free for Life, or call Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group at 856-751-1771. Remember, access to Debt Free for Life is absolutely free. Check it out now at jmlfinancialgroup.com.
And we are back here on Talk with a Purpose. 609-407-1450 is our number here in the studio. 609-407-1450. Let's talk to May in Atlantic City. May, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. I have a comment to make.
Go ahead.
I don't know why people, everyone says, Gavin is good looking. He's not good looking. His hairline is receding compared to DeSantis. DeSantis' hair is thicker.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, and not only that, but if you vote for Gavin Newsom is a vote for feces on the streets.
Oh, that's putting it mildly. That's what California has, a lot of that.
Yeah, they have a lot of that. And how do Gavin Newsom said he was going to make the United States like California. And how do I know this? He said so.
Yeah, he did. Oh, he really did say that. And that's really, I don't want that in any way, shape, or form.
No.
Keep California there.
Well, you're right there.
It's 3,000 miles away. Keep it that far away.
Yeah, keep it far away. Yeah. Keep Gadsden out of the picture.
Well,
I don't want feces.
You say DeSantis is better looking than Newsom?
Oh, much better. His hair is thicker. It's not receding like Gavin Newsom's.
Well, he's also younger. He's only 44, so that would help him.
Oh, that would help him too.
Yeah.
And besides, he could run in 2028 and get two terms. He's young enough to do that.
I think he can, and I do think he's going to run in 28, and I think he'll run a pretty smooth campaign. And May, thanks for the call. Thanks for your assessment of the looks of candidates. That's always nice. Oh, well, this is a subject, and I may carry this over into the next hour. Insurance companies. If you've ever had a claim, and if you lived here during Hurricane Sandy, you know what I'm talking about. Every time an insurance company can deny a claim, they will deny a claim. I can tell you stories of insurance companies denying claims when they had no business denying claims, but they figure they'll deny it first and then you sue them. And it just delays the process. They keep the money longer. But I want to commend Ocean Casino Resort here in Atlantic City. We all know that the pandemic caused a business interruption. We all agree on that. The casinos were closed. You can't do business when you're closed. So they put in a claim for business interruption insurance to the tune of $50 million. Okay, well, the insurance company said, well, there was no business interruption. You weren't physically harmed. Insurance companies have their own logic. And it's, well, whatever is good for the insurance company, that's what we're going to say. So they denied the claim, saying there was no physical harm. Well, what's physical harm? I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So Ocean sued the insurance company. They won. But wait. They lost in appellate court. The decision was reversed. The policies clearly state that viruses are clearly included in the list of policy exceptions. So what caused the business interruption? A virus. Do you see how they twist and turn this? Why do you think they have many, many, many lawyers on retainer? During Hurricane Sandy, my home was damaged, and my primary residence was Brigantine. My primary residence was damaged to the tune of $150,000. And you know what they sent me? They sent me $17,000. My friend in Florida recently, the Hurricane Ian last year, he had a business. $8 million worth of damage. $8 million. They sent him $30,000. And then that insurance company went out of business. So now the state's involved. So whenever you have an insurance claim, if you're lucky, you'll get a small percentage, and then you better hire an adjuster. And ultimately, took me 4 years to get my insurance money from my claim in Hurricane Sandy. I got my money in 2016, which was 4 years after the hurricane. And with that, we're going to put the wraps on hour number 2. It's in the books. Hour number 3 on the way. Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG, Talk Radio 95.5. Some open lines for hour number 3, 609-407-1450. That's the number, 609-407-1450. Hour number 2 in the books. Hour number 3 on the way. Don't go away.
.5 FM and 1450 AM WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 presents Talk with a Purpose. Join the conversation by calling 609-407-1450. Now, the host of Talk with a Purpose, John DeMasi.
Hour number 3, Talk with a Purpose every Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Also heard on 1450 AM and always online, WPGTalkRadio.com. That's how you can listen. Many, many, many ways to listen. Well, what do we talk about this hour? You want to talk about the election? You want to talk about Atlantic City? You want to talk about Ocean Resort suing insurance companies? You want to talk about anything? Well, it's all on the table. 609-407-1450. I want to go back to what I had started the show with, and it is a disturbing trend. And perhaps we'll hear from some of our police friends. But I just got to believe that we have to stand up to looters and rioters. We cannot allow this to happen. And I don't care what they say about, oh, well, it's the people, and that's how they feel. What? This is a country of laws. It's how you feel. I mean, this, and I read a couple of columns. Oh, they shouldn't have rioted, but, this is how society feels because they feel there's an injustice. And I'm referring to, in case you missed it in our first hour, I'm referring to the case in Philadelphia where the police officer was charged with murder. The police officer was then fired. And then a judge dismissed the case for lack of evidence. Well, that's what a judge is supposed to do. And you've heard Judge Donio here on the show talk about evidence in what he sees in a case. Is there enough to prove a certain charge? And in this case, he said there wasn't. So now, when the judge dismisses the charge, does that give people an excuse to riot? Does that give people an excuse for lawlessness? I mean, how many times do we hear, oh, well, this person was killed, and then, well, I'm going to go kill that guy. I mean, this would be anarchy. And we don't have that in this country. Maybe third world countries have it, but we don't. And, and I said in my opening comments, the thing that really needs to happen is there needs to be a police presence. Or, as President Trump is alluding to, he would have a National Guard presence. If he thinks there's going to be trouble in a city, and what do we have in 2020? Portland? I mean, come on. That was 6 months of rioting. And they let it go. And President Trump said, oh, we're going to send, no, keep them. So I don't understand how we can continue as a society with this kind of thing happening. I mean, eventually, what's going to happen? And you've seen it already. Wawa, CVS, Target, closing stores, especially in inner cities. And then people say, oh, well, we don't have a decent store. Yeah, you know why I don't have a decent store? Because they steal from it. And that's why there's never going to be a supermarket in Atlantic City. So let's get back to the point. There has to be a law enforcement presence, whether it be the National Guard or the police department in the local city or something. But this has got to stop. And it's got to stop now. Or else we're not going to have any stores left. We're not going to have any businesses left. Would you want to open a business in Philadelphia or any major city with what is going on today? Would you? Does it make any sense? Of course not. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. 609-407-1450. That is our number here in the studio. As I mentioned earlier, Denny Levinson on our show next week. And we attempted to get in touch with his opponent. In fact, when I called Jackie from Denny's office the other day, I said, who is running against Denny? And she said, I'll look it up for you. I mean, we had to look it up. And her name is Joyce Pratt, and she's never run for office before. And we attempted to contact her, and Denny would like to debate her on the pros and cons of her candidacy. But nothing. And I heard that she's not doing any interviews. Will somebody tell her she's running for office? And maybe the people would like to hear what she has to say. So just want to welcome you into my world during the course of the week. Oh, like I said, you can't make this stuff up. 609-407-1450 is our number here in the studio. 609-407-1450. And we will continue to talk about this looting and rioting in Philadelphia. Too much. Just too much. People carrying... I mean, there was a guy, they showed him carrying two, I guess they were 65-inch TVs. He had two of them in his hand. And he fell down. And he didn't drop them. He didn't drop those TVs. He carried them out. I mean, there were 2 TVs, 3 TVs. Each person was carrying 2 TVs. Boy, too much. Bob and Cape May. Bob, welcome back.
Hi, John. Hey, look, these Soros DAs, okay, it shows that how brilliant in a diabolical way that Soros and his underlings are. Because, you see, in these big blue Democrat cities where in the primary elections only the absolute radicals vote, right? So what you have going on here, you have the worst of the worst getting elected to these DA positions. So they're not going to enforce the laws. They're going to allow these criminals to call it what you want. Some of them call it reparations now. They have the gall, the chutzpah to call this reparations, this outright stealing. And you're right, John. You own a business. If you're a hardworking business person, it's not money that grows on a tree.
That's right.
You're putting your capital and
these people, these small business people in these big cities, they work ungodly hours. And then to have your business just destroyed and nobody gets prosecuted. So what's going to happen? Yeah, of course, like, in Atlantic City, the CRDA is willing to finance a supermarket to the tune of $15-20 million, and they still don't have any takers.
That's right.
It's just, it just is not going to work in this country anymore. This formula doesn't work, and the only way to combat it is to sue these DAs, as I mentioned before, and Governor DeSantis is the only one that came up with this idea. And whoever gets, if President Trump gets elected, he's got to do something about this. You cannot let this stand. You cannot let our big cities get destroyed.
No.
We've worked too hard to build these big cities.
Yeah, that's right.
Nobody's going to want to live there, John.
No. I'll tell you what, they couldn't pay me to live in Philadelphia.
No, not at all. I mean, hey, when you and I lived there,
it was different. Yeah,
totally different. The neighborhood I grew up in, John, was people didn't have money, but it was clean.
Yeah,
you didn't have any abandoned houses. It was a neighborhood of immigrants. Okay, there were Germans, Hungarians, Polish people. Just north of Fishtown, and a tough neighborhood. But man, it was. You go through there now, and I drove through there last year.
You didn't recognize it. You didn't recognize it, right?
Half the homes were destroyed, not gone. I mean, abandoned, boarded up. It's horrible. Just a horrible situation. And the real people that are suffering are not these liberals that do not want to prosecute. It's the people that are living there that it's a terrible situation.
Yes,
really
it is. Yes, it is. Bob,
All right, John.
Thanks for the call. Thanks for calling again. Yeah, it is. President Trump, I love this article. Trump's second-term agenda even more terrifying. Let me tell you what this columnist construes as terrifying. Let's see. Trump's second-term agenda terrifying because he plans to use the military to participate in the largest deportation of undocumented immigrants in American history. And what's wrong with that? I mean, we have too many of them now, thanks to Joe Biden. And then, I love this one. Ordering the National Guard into cities with high crime rates, whether local officials want it or not. And what was I just saying about crime and about looting and about rioting? And that'll stop it. You bet it will, whether it's police or National Guard or a combination of the two. It'll stop it. And here's one we didn't mention before. Tariffs and taxes. Trump wants to impose a 10% tariff on all foreign goods. Federal law gives the president wide authority to impose tariffs. Now, of course, the economists say it's a terrible idea. But is it? The Nonpartisan Tax Foundation estimated that a 10% tariff would be equivalent to a $300 billion tax on consumers, since the cost of tariffs is absorbed by buyers, not sellers. So is that a good idea? Well, look, what Trump is trying to do is trying to get more production out of Americans. Gee, isn't that a novel idea? Making our own goods? Yeah. So the bottom line is this particular column. Also, Trump is going to ask Congress to pass a federal ban against gender reassignment surgery for minors. And that's a priority he called probably number one on his list. They should not touch minors until you are 18, maybe even 16. But a minor, they don't know what they want to be, or what they are, or what they should be. And that's why we should vote for President Trump for a second term. Get rid of this, all of this nonsense that Biden has brought to this country. I mean, and it is nonsense. When does it stop? When does it stop? 609-407-1450. We're coming up on a break, and we still have a lot to talk about here on the show. But you just want to talk about Biden versus Trump. Hey, that's always a topic. And you always want to talk about Trump. That's always on the table. 609-407-1450. As I said before, Denny Levinson next week. And Jeff Van Drew is coming on our show on October 21st. So we look forward to that as well. So we got a couple of good guests lined up in the future. Denny Levinson next week, Jeff Van Drew on October 21st, Joe Yakovich in between. I mean, we got it all lined up for you in the month of October. And maybe we'll dress up as Joe Biden for Halloween. I want to get eggs thrown at me. Well, my grandson's going out. I'm going out with him. So he'll dress up as whatever. Oh, Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. After the break, Steve, Linda, John, and maybe you at 609-407-1450. More Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
Debt. If you hate debt as much as we do, listen. Debt. It's one of the biggest problems faced by 77% of Americans. A system called Debt Free for Life is a smart, financially unique solution. Not only does Debt Free for Life, a proprietary system that you can access absolutely free, help our clients pay off their debts years, sometimes decades earlier, it can also save them tens of thousands of dollars in interest, build their wealth at the same time, and it does it all tax-free. Find out more now. Go to jmlfinancialgroup.com to get your free report on Debt Free for Life, or call Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group at 856-751-1771. Remember, access to Debt Free for Life is absolutely free. Check it out now at jmlfinancialgroup.com.
It's a fall festival at BF Mazzio. All kinds of goodies, including delicious and fresh McIntosh apples, apple cider bread, pumpkin bread, and of course, all sizes of pumpkins. BF Mazzio, where there's always something special. Don't forget the finest fresh fruit and produce you'll find anywhere. And of course, a complete selection of prepared foods and baked goods second to none. BF Mazzio, 601 New Road in Northfield. Online at bfmazzio.com.
Back here on Talk with a Purpose, we always forget to mention that the show is replayed on Sundays from 5 until 8. It's the Talk with a Purpose replay. If you missed it today, you can hear it tomorrow. Or if you want to hear it again, you heard it today, you want to hear it tomorrow? You want to hear yourself on the radio? Hey, that's the way to do it. Listen to the Talk with a Purpose replay Sundays, 5 until 8 right here on WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And it's on after the Eagles game. So, you have no reason not to listen. Talk with a Purpose is the show. Saturdays, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Let's talk to Steve in Absecon Island. Steve, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning, John. Always a terrific show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Once again, the themes that are recurring are taxes, voting, and resources.
Yes.
You're talking about tariffs, correct?
Yes.
So the tariffs are on foreign imports.
Yes.
Into this country to try to offset the reduction in consumer spending on American products because of the high regulation and high taxes on those products.
Right.
And they're trying to equalize and balance out and give something back to American companies. I get it. I understand that. I say this: stop regulating and stop overtaxing corporations, and you won't have to tariff those products coming in from overseas because they'll be able to sell them at perhaps of course less than what they're selling them now. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh yeah, you just reminded me. When I first started in business, didn't know a lot about the legalities of corporations, so I had a regular corporation, and I'll never forget this. Governor McCreepy, he taxed everything under the sun. Did
you just call him Governor McCreepy?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Governor McCreepy quadrupled. You ready for this? Quadrupled the corporate business tax. So my accountant said, you don't need a regular corporation. Just form an S-Corp. And that's what I did. And the tax was, a couple $100. But that's just one little incident of a little guy getting taxed to death.
That's right. And on the triangle, you have your vote at the top. If you can't change who's going to be in power, you'll never change taxes.
Right.
And if they are allowed to keep taxing us in crazy amounts of money, then you'll never be able to have the resources necessary to have a nice retirement.
Yes.
I also wanted to say, and I brought this up, the H-1B visa program. We keep allowing more and more H-1B visa STEM workers, H-1A, nurses from overseas to work here in our hospitals, to displace American citizens who have to sign up for selective service to protect the very corporations and hospitals that use this foreign labor. I find it abhorrent. What do you say?
I agree with you. I agree 100%. I mean, America first. That come on.
And there's nothing wrong with saying that.
No, there isn't.
There isn't. No, but Trump got skewered by saying that because it sounds, it harkens back to the Nazi era under National Socialism.
Yes.
Germany first. Well, there's nothing wrong with America first. We're a Republican-style government. We're not going to go lose our Republican-style government as long as we have one person, one vote, one day. Absentee ballots are okay, but mail-in ballots are not. And did you get the Vince Palestina flyer?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Did you see at the bottom, vote by mail begins September 23rd, early in-person voting October 28th and November 5th?
Yeah.
You have a break on November 6th, but then you can start voting again on November 7th. That I don't get.
I don't either.
44 days worth of voting.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense either.
It really doesn't. No. I'm old-fashioned. Voting day is voting day. That's it. None of this.
And they have to put a unique random serial number on those mail-in ballots, just like they do with the absentee ballot. With the absentee ballot, you would call in and say, I need an absentee ballot. I'm sick. I'm out of state, I'm in the Army, what have you, right?
Yeah.
And they would say, what address do you want me to send it to? And you would tell them, and then you would get your ballot, you send it back, and then when it got received back into the voter registrations office, they would check your name off. I received his ballot because he requested it. They don't do that with these mail-in ballots.
No.
So that's, and there's no serial number on them. So you can get 2, 3 of the same one with the same handwriting, and there's really, quite honestly, no way to check that unless somebody's going through all those ballots. But if there was a random unique number that only was generated at the time that they were sent out, and only the voter registration office knew those random generated numbers, when that ballot was sent back, then you can match the number up, and nobody else would be able to duplicate it. Similar to like what they do with the Powerball and the Powerball lottery tickets. There's a unique number generated. Nobody can duplicate. You know, when it comes to money, they'll protect the money like a honey badger protecting his young.
Yep.
But they will not protect the vote because they want it to be fraudulent, and they want it to be inherently fraudulent so that the ones that have the power can continue to stay in power and then tax us to death and indicate who's going to have the resources, the jobs, the water, the natural gas.
Yeah.
That's how I'm seeing it, John. I'm awfully sorry if I sound cynical.
No,
but
we had a call last week, and a woman said, I got 2 ballots in the mail. All right? So I called Joe Girallo, and he put his deputy on the phone, and they said, that didn't happen. I said, well, what did the woman get in the mail? And I don't know what she got in the mail, but she said, I got 2 ballots. So they said, that must have been an application. Well, what's it? So I was left with, I don't know. I don't know what happened. So I tried to find out. But and Joe Girallo does run a good office. I'm not saying that. But, you know, to your point, somebody got 2 ballots. And there's no
unique serial number.
No.
And I watched the Giuliani hearings in Pennsylvania intently, and one of the state senators said that they wanted to put unique random serial numbers on those mail-in ballots so that they could match them as they came in. And only the office would have known that, and the governor of Pennsylvania turned that down. He vetoed it.
Yeah. Steve, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate it. Linda in Absecon. Linda, welcome back to Talk with a Purpose.
Thanks, John. Glad to hear Denny's coming on. He's this man's going to have a lot of coattails, or there'll be coattails for sure. And but so terrifying, huh? Trump's terrifying. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'll tell you what's terrifying in a minute, but it certainly isn't. Low inflation, low interest rate, low gas prices, low unemployment, low amounts of crises at the border, prepared military, energy independence, no soldiers left in Afghanistan, no soldiers lost in a year and a half years of Trump's presidency with that war going on over there, and terrorism. I mean, what he did for Jerusalem. And then to top it off, he topped the oil reserves.
Yeah.
And he's made an amazing president, really. He did it all. And he did it I don't know. I just so want him to have a chance to finish it up, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what is terrifying. Men's hearts failing them, that's women too, for fear. And for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. That's what Jesus said. That is fear. Men's hearts failing them for fear. Because what is coming on this earth is not a pretty sight. Check it out. The Gospel of Luke, chapter 21. and then let's get our priorities right in this country.
Absolutely.
And then maybe
Absolutely.
God will hear our prayer, and we'll turn from our wicked ways. Killing babies is wicked any way you cut it. Don't ever forget it. And don't let man convince you to tolerate a little bit of it. You just go with what thus saith the Lord. Only one God creates the soul. AI can create anything phony that it wants to, maybe even a semi-type human being, but only one gives the soul. And so let's get things right.
I hear you, Linda. Amen to that. Amen. Thanks
John.
Thanks for the call. John in Ocean City. John, good morning. Welcome back.
Yes, it was actually Chris Fredo Cuomo, little brother of Andrew Salotso Cuomo, who said that protests have to be nonviolent. Who said our First Amendment said we have the right to peaceably assemble for protests. That's what says the First Amendment. Now, they say that over $500 million of damage was done in Minneapolis. Well, it cost $500 million to build a bridge from Summers Point to Ocean City. So I got a bridge to say in Brooklyn. Okay, I think it's a little bit more than $500 million bucks, man, because it's a war zone now. And yes, Portland's a war zone as well. Not as bad, but not much better. But the fact of the matter is that they did use thermite incendiary bombs in Minneapolis and Portland, not because some aluminum foil hat wearing crazy from Ocean City said so, but no, they use thermite incendiary bombs. They're expensive to make, and usually they're used by the military. Do we have military-industrial complex involvement here? Maybe so. And it was President Eisenhower that warned us about the military-industrial complex. So they're a part of it, too. They're not the whole of it, but they're a part of it. They're a cog in the machine, if you will. But the fact of the matter is that there's people that are letting stores be looted, and our countries and our cities are being burned down. But my question for the people, that you think that you have a toilet to sit on and flushes, and you have a shower to shower under, you got food in your fridge. It's just as natural as breathing air. No, it's compliments of our constitutional America. Compliments and yes, God blessed us through the lens of the Constitution. So if you want to aid and abet the socialists, the globalist socialists that want to destroy our country and then rebuild a new phoenix from the ash, they're going to roll with an iron fist. They won't allow Antifa and BLM to burn the cities down. I got bad news for you people that think you're doing the right thing. You're not. You're destroying you're committing suicide. And that's what Karl Marx said. We're going to sell them the rope that they'll hang themselves with. So that's what's going on. Our country's becoming communized. Yes, it was actually John Coleman, MI6 British intelligence agent, said that the Democrat Party was controlled by communists as early as 1980 or as late as 1980, however you want to look at it. But the whole thing is that we don't unite as one, those dark forces will overcome us. And yes, it all started in Isaiah 14:12, where Lucifer declared war on God in 5 different ways. And that's Warlada. That's the God of the Nazis. And not Jesus Christ is not the God of the Nazis. They got bad news for you on that point, too. They try to say they were Christians. No, they want to get rid of Christianity. Heinrich Himmler was a member of Vril, V-R-I-L, the Vril Society, a secret society which is a part of the Illuminati. That's where it was organized in Bavaria, Germany. Munich's the capital of Bavaria. That's where the National Socialists got their start. There was a Bavarian Soviet Republic at the same time there was a Soviet Union. So communism and Nazism are both poisonous fruits from that poisonous tree of Illuminism. And it was actually Emanuel Mann Josephson who had written in 1955. He was critiquing Clinton Roosevelt's the law of government, the science of government founded on natural law, and he said that and Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto are identical to each other. And he says Illuminism goes back to our beginning, to our founding. It was actually good and bad that came over on those ships. Those 24 expeditions of ships, Mayflower expeditions. It could be 10 ships for one expedition. It could be over 100 or maybe 500 ships on the expedition. So a lot of people came over, and they all weren't good people. A lot of them were bad. It's a snake in the grass, and it's called the devil. And, yeah, we have to take sides. Ultimately, we're going to have to take sides, and we're going to have to take sides. Who we're going to take sides with, God or the devil? I have to put it that way. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Thanks for the call. Boy, I tell you, one thing about John, his calls are very complicated, and you really have to follow it along. If you don't follow it along intently, you get lost. But, he brings it every call. Talk with a Purpose is the show, Saturdays, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. I'm John DeMasi. We have Bob after the break in Summers Point and DJ in Summers Point. It's the Summers Point hour, huh? And maybe you at 609-407-1450. Coming back with more Talk with a Purpose in just a moment.
If you're interested in driving one of the finest automobiles on the market today, then you'll want to check out all of the fabulous new and pre-owned Lexus at Lexus of Atlantic City. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Driving a Lexus is like no other vehicle on the market. Test drive one for yourself at Lexus of Atlantic City. Whether it's new or pre-owned, you'll be more than satisfied. In fact, Lexus is consistently #1 when it comes to customer satisfaction. Visit Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. Or you can check out their outstanding selection of new, pre-owned, and L-certified pre-owned vehicles on their website, LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. That's LexusOfAtlanticCity.com. Or if you want more information, call 609-641-0008. Lexus of Atlantic City, now celebrating their 26th year in the area. A dealership that you'll enjoy. No pressure, no gimmicks, no hassle, no hype. Lexus of Atlantic City, 3169 Fire Road in EHT. And remember, always online at LexusOfAtlanticCity.com.
Your WPG Atlantic City Electric AccuWeather forecast for South Jersey. This afternoon is going to be mostly cloudy with a high 68. Clear to partly cloudy tonight. You might want to grab a jacket. Lows dip into 53. Warmer tomorrow with plenty of sunshine. A nice end to the weekend with a high 79. Monday, sunny and pleasant. High 79. I'm AccuWeather's Ruth O'Brien on WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Oh, we're having a heat wave next week, huh? Oh, cold spell, then a heat wave, then rain. Oh, I don't know. You never know what the weather's going to bring. Speaking of never know. Let's talk to Bob in Summers Point. Bob, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Good morning to you. I can rarely call in because normally on Saturday mornings I'm at religious services. And the reason I'm not today is I've got a god-awful cold that I've been battling.
Get well soon. Get well soon.
Yeah, exactly. They're taking a lot of chicken soup, actually.
Yes.
And a little bit of bourbon on the throat. The reason I'm calling, I looked at the news, I watched the demographics of the dreadful things that were going on in Philadelphia last week.
Yeah.
And the dreadful assault 3 years ago in Atlantic City. Nobody, and I'm a person who's a person of a minority, of course, and I don't know how to say it, but I look at the demographics of the people who were involved. They were not 80-year-old Asian people who were doing it. They were predominantly male, and I won't go into much more in terms of the demographic.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And if anybody says that, the race card will be thrown at them.
Yep.
And the community from which they came has been unfortunately dreadfully silent, at least from what I'm hearing, in terms of denouncing this kind of activity and standing against it.
Well, you know, it's interesting you bring that up, Bob. I read a couple of columns by African-American columnists, and they said, well, you know, it was wrong to do what they did, but that's how the people feel. Can you imagine if taxes were raised and you didn't like it and you went and shot all the politicians that raised the taxes? I mean, this is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Absolutely. Feeling and living in a society under law and order are two different things.
That's right.
And again, what I am saying may not be politically, what should I say, is not politically acceptable, but this is the reality of what we saw.
That's right.
And unfortunately, when you say it, you get the race card thrown at you.
Yep. Well, I can say it. I didn't see one white person looting in those videos in Philadelphia. So
exactly,
you know,
that's exactly what I was.
I said it.
It was not 80-year-old Asian folks.
That's right. Bob, thanks a lot for the call. Be well. DJ in Summers Point. DJ, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
How you doing, John?
Good. How you doing?
Not bad. Can't complain. Just sitting here watching a little bit of the Ryder Cup.
How we doing?
right now it is 4.5 for USA and 9.5 for Europe.
Oh well.
But bad day to play golf down at Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Anyway, stuff in Philly, I don't necessarily call it riots and stuff or demonstrations. That was, to me, they were just using that maybe excuse of some of them. This was just a shopping opportunity.
Yes, it was. Yes,
there was
it was.
no burning of buildings or nothing like that. There was several locations late at night. There was one beauty parlor or store that just opened. That they went there, in the middle of the night to knock it off. So that's not a result of, a spontaneous protest that broke into looting.
No, in fact,
how come we didn't have looting right after the kid was killed by the officers?
Yeah. In fact,
it's an excuse.
Yeah, they somebody filmed it on social media.
Right. This was just an opportunity to go get some stuff.
Yep, that's what it was.
And that meatball or whatever her name is, Puffy Cheeks.
Yeah.
Right. She's not an influencer. She's an instigator.
Yep.
Right. And it's funny. The ones that were involved in January 6th that just literally maybe just were at the Capitol or walked through the Capitol and didn't do anything other than that, they were held for a couple of weeks with no bail.
Yeah.
And some were held with no bail.
Yeah.
Why didn't this happen after these arrests that happened in Philly?
Yeah.
Right? They're a threat to the community, to society.
Yeah.
They're a threat to people.
Yeah. What do you think about if the looting starts, the shooting starts? What do you think about that?
In some case, I have no problem with, and when they've been told and it's been declared and they know, and they can continue to loot, so be it.
Yeah. I agree.
The owner of a property and the people in the community deserve to feel safe.
That's right.
Not have everything taken from them because a crowd wants to get a TV.
Yeah. There was a guy.
Some wigs, whatever.
Yeah. Did you see the guy opened up a used car lot in Philadelphia?
Yes. Oh, the poor guy.
He lost 7 cars, and he just opened last week.
Yeah, and that was just a spontaneous looting thing?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. Yeah. It was planned.
Yep. It sure was.
Plain and simple. So, moving on from that, but the thing is, if you let it continue, you're going to get the same results.
That's right.
And some of these judges, right, have got to say, no bail.
That's right.
Let them be held for a while. Let them go to the next level where they have to apply for another bail hearing.
Yeah, that's right.
That sometimes happens. No bail.
Yeah,
okay.
that's
Well,
right.
you can reapply for bail later.
Yeah.
But you're staying in jail for now.
That's right.
That meatball, she spent, 24 hours in jail and she was traumatized? Yeah, okay. Right.
Yeah, and the people weren't traumatized whose businesses they looted.
Yeah. And, and the grandmother, I guess I got to take care of my grandkid. If my grandkids did that, they'd still be in jail.
That's right. That's right.
I worked hard for my money, right? I don't have to give it to you so you can be out on bail or pay a bail bondsman, because if you pay a bail bondsman, you don't get that money back.
That's right.
There's a fee there, folks.
That's right.
Right? So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Can I make a comment about Menendez?
Yes.
I find it almost shocking at his level, and also at the state level and local level. John, if you did something wrong or said something wrong on the air, do you think the radio station would keep you?
No.
You'd be gone in a New York minute.
That's right. That's right.
Police officer or a fireman does something wrong, right? Do they continue on the job and get a pay and get vacation and get sick time while their case is waiting to be heard? Or are they suspended without pay?
Suspended without pay, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. How about a teacher? Teacher's accused of something, saying something inappropriate in the classroom. Or maybe in a lot of cases, sometimes they're charged with having relationships with students. Are they allowed to come the next day and continue on teaching their stuff?
No.
All right. What's the one the occupations where they can stay on the job, still get their benefits, and still continue till their case is heard?
Politician. That's it. That's
now,
it.
Don't you think it's time maybe that they start passing a bill or some rules and regulations where you have to step aside temporarily? You're not going to lose your seat officially, but you're suspended and you don't have the right to continue.
That's
and
right.
Vote on stuff.
That's right.
In the Senate or in Congress, for that matter. Look at, and that happens also. You can say like what happened in Wildwood. He was allowed to continue.
Yeah.
Right, and there was a couple bills brought up in the Jersey, maybe to have some type of rules and regulations about stepping aside while your case is heard, but it never went anywhere. But I find it's funny this Menendez can get away with this and just show up for work. I'm not going nowhere.
Yeah.
And he, you know what? He was not removed from the Foreign Relations Committee either.
No, he was just.
What did he do?
He didn't remove himself. He
step aside.
Yes, he would step aside. Yeah.
Well, isn't he a great guy?
He is such an arrogant SOB, isn't he?
Yeah.
He is really. He is the epitome of arrogance.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's time to think. It's time to think about, and then you can see where these politicians are about right and wrong.
Yeah.
Because if you are found not guilty, and very seldom are you found not guilty, okay? All right. Then you get to, you get all back pay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All things you were entitled, you get them back. And that's happening in other jobs. Officers, police officers, firemen, if they, teachers, if they're found not guilty, they get the job back.
Yeah.
And
that's
anything that was held from them while they were away. So, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
But the one thing we could have, it's a win this week. Fetterman's going to have to wear a tie.
I saw that.
I think they saw him in America's Men's Warehouse the other day.
Hey, did you hear at the top of the show? I said Fetterman was going to have a website for his line of clothing. It was called Contemporary Slob.
No, but that's good.
Yeah, it's good. DJ, thanks for the call. Joanne and Ventnor. Joanne, good morning. Welcome to Talk with a Purpose.
Yeah, good morning. You were talking about ISIS?
We were? I don't remember, but
the one
go ahead.
That gives all the money? Is it ISIS?
I don't know. Well, whatever. What's your point?
He comes from Hungary. And when he was a little boy, his father sent him to a Gentile couple because he was Jewish. And any time he could report a Jew to the Nazis, he reported the Jews. Ooh. And he went all through Europe and made a fortune of money by ruining certain areas. And he's in this country giving the money to the prosecutors.
Oh, Soros. Oh, that's who you're talking about. Yeah, Soros. Oh, yeah. Oh, of course.
That's his history. And he's retiring. I saw a picture of him on television. He's retiring, and he's giving everything over to his son, who he said will do exactly what he did.
Oh, boy.
And he's got a lot of body of people sharing and making sure nothing happens to him. He's got a lot of bodyguards.
Oh, boy.
Is that why can't they stop him from doing that, John?
Yeah, because he's got a lot of money and he buys a lot of people, I guess. That's all I can tell you. No, he is a bad guy. You're right. Yeah.
So he started out as a child being bad.
Yeah. I didn't know that
I want to tell you that my father was a very smart man, and I was a very little girl, and he said to me, this is years ago, America will not last more than 50 years. And I thought he was crazy. But he said we will be just like the Greeks and the Romans. They became so decadent that they got destroyed. And don't you believe it? I believe it.
Yeah, well, it's looking that way.
Yes,
it certainly is. Yeah. That
I
certainly
will leave
is.
you with that. Have a good day.
You too, Joanne. Thanks a lot for the call. We are coming up on our final break of the morning. We'll talk to Ruth, and maybe we'll have time for another call. Maybe we'll talk to you at 609-407-1450. I'm John DeMasi. Final thoughts on today's edition of Talk with a Purpose after these words.
Debt. If you hate debt as much as we do, listen. Debt. It's one of the biggest problems faced by 77% of Americans. A system called Debt Free for Life is a smart, financially unique solution. Not only does Debt Free for Life, a proprietary system that you can access absolutely free, help our clients pay off their debts years, sometimes decades earlier, it can also save them tens of thousands of dollars in interest, build their wealth at the same time, and it does it all tax-free. Find out more now. Go to jmlfinancialgroup.com to get your free report on Debt Free for Life, or call Joe Yakovich at JML Financial Group at 856-751-1771. Remember, access to Debt Free for Life is absolutely free. Check it out now at jmlfinancialgroup.com.
And, of course, we'll have Joe Yakovich on our show. Let's see. Next week is Denny Levinson. And then the following week is Joe Yakovich. And then the following week is Jeff Van Drew. And then Joe Yakovich. So that's our October schedule. I'll tell you. We got a packed house in October here on the show. Talk with a Purpose is the program. Saturdays 9 till noon. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Let's talk to Ruth in Summers Point. Ruth, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. DeMasi. I am the woman that called you last week about receiving 2 ballots.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing up that situation today on your program. And so now I will tell you what I will do. I have held on to the second ballot. When I get the ballot I applied for in the mail, I will then take that ballot and my application, my second application for that ballot, out to Mays Landing and show them both, and I will definitely be able to prove that what you were told by the county is not true.
Yeah, I did call him, and I spoke to Joe, and his deputy got on the phone as well, and they both said, well, that can't be. Well, now, I can't refute that because I'm not looking at the ballot. So I said, well, what did she call my show for? You know, I mean, obviously it's something. So if you would do that and then report back to me, look, Joe Girallo does a good job. I mean, I know he's on the job in the morning at 6:30. I know that. So, I mean, there may be something to this, and I'm glad you called, and hopefully we'll get to the bottom of it, because if you got 2 ballots, how many other people got 2 ballots? So that's right. What I was thinking.
And it could be an honest mistake in that the machine printed out 2 applications by mistake, but I'm telling you, it is true, and I will take the time to take the actual ballot I receive and the second application for that ballot out to the county and show it to them, and I will call you about it.
Oh, definitely. Keep us posted on that, because that's important, because we don't want another one of these, stolen elections, as they say. We don't want that. So, yes, right. It's better that we nip this in the bud.
I agree with you, and thank you for taking the time to call the county.
Thank you. Thank you for the call, Ruth. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's true. I mean, what do I know? Somebody calls and says, I got this, and I said, Joe, this is what she said. It can't be. It had to be some other thing. Okay, some other thing. Okay. So we'll keep you posted on that. But I'm surprised that no one in the audience here today has gotten into this thing of the housing authority in Atlantic City. I mean, here we have two situations where a consultant is paid a lot of money and the job apparently wasn't done properly, and they bring up this thing at a meeting again, and his work is criticized by the housing authority. The housing authority director gets fired, and then the consultant applies for a raise, a $60,000 raise. I mean, maybe I should call the housing authority about this. It doesn't make any sense to me. If a client said to me in business, and I basically do their marketing and advertising, but if they say to me, gee, I got this employee, and they've shared with me employee stories. I got this employee, and he's not doing the job. What do you think I should do? Well, get somebody else. Don't give him a $60,000 raise. And then the other thing, there's, who is this other gentleman? John Clark, Sunbelt Authorities. In 31 of the 38 weeks on record, he did not fulfill his requirements for the job in Atlantic City. So what are they going to do? Oh, they're going to give him a new contract. Does this make any sense to you? It doesn't to me. So I was just wondering, I brought this up because I thought, well, it should be something that we should really be very concerned about, because the housing authority is being sued by the residents. As I always say, can't make this stuff up. And with that, we are going to put the wraps on another edition of Talk with a Purpose. I'm John DeMasi. Thanks to Chris Coleman, our extraordinary program director and producer. You didn't know you were extraordinary, did you? And thanks to you, our listeners, because without you, you know that. We don't have a show. I'm John DeMasi. Talk with a Purpose next Saturday, 9 till noon, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You take care of yourself.
The preceding program was paid for and presented by John DeMasi.